Hey everybody, this is Mike Barrington. Thank you so much for checking out my very first podcast ever. I want to thank very much my friend Colin Fardy for being my co-host, my co-captain. This was a ton of fun to record for us. And again, thank you so much for checking it out. This is our pilot episode. So we're working on audio issues. We're trying to figure out exactly where he and I fit into this. We talk over each other a little bit. That bugs the piss out of me, but hey, we had a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy. Send any comments, questions, pointers, anything like that. You can always email me, mikebarrington@gmail.com. Always appreciate that. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy. Here we are. This is Mike Barrington, and I'm joined by the lovely Colin Fardy, or Frosty. What's up, Frosty?
Affectionately known as Frosty?
Affectionate. It's Frosty Jr., though, isn't it?
Originally, yes, it was Frosty Jr. It's been shortened to Frosty over the years, depending on who's talking to me. But yes, it did start out as Frosty Jr.
So we're here, and this is the pilot episode of the podcast that will be We're Not Sure Yet. And I'm okay with that. We're just gonna, myself and Colin, we're gonna hang out here. We're gonna talk. We're gonna have some fun, and we'll see what happens. Does that sound good?
Certainly does. We're gonna talk about a big pile of stuff.
Big pile of stuff. We both have lists, and now speaking of that, my list has disappeared off my screen in a technical error.
See, and that's where being like old school and grizzled like I am comes in handy, because I wrote all my stuff down on actual paper.
You wrote it down on actual ruled paper in a spiral.
It's just a legal pad.
Is it just a legal pad?
Yeah, it's just a legal pad. I was
gonna call it a scribbler.
It's definitely not a scribbler. Justin Cricker did not drop his exercise books off here.
No, okay. I am kind of old school myself. Like I have the yellow pads of paper. You know what I mean?
I do. We actually use those down at work. It just so happened that the one that I grabbed
one that you
was
stole
white.
from work.
No, this is a white one.
Okay, what's on your list?
Obviously, we're both big into comedy and wrestling, so I'll let you pick.
Sure.
Did you want to go comedy first, or did you want to go wrestling first?
I think wrestling is going to take up more of our time, so let's do comedy first.
All right. So right now, you're one of the local comedians.
If you want to call me that, sure.
Yeah. Listen, I've seen you. You're funny.
I'm aspiring.
There you go, an aspiring comedian. Yeah. But I'm sure a lot of people who are listening probably don't know the robust comedy scene that's going on in Newfoundland right now.
That's correct. They have absolutely no idea. And that's kind of sad, because there are some amazingly funny, amazingly talented people here in our province. And you know what kind of sucks a little bit is recently one of our main outlets, we'll say, has closed up. And that's Yuck Yucks. So Yuck Yucks packed it in, and they're looking for apparently a new location. But the club that was Yuck Yucks, which is called Uptown, still exists. As comedians, we officially heard that they're not able to do comedy for a while, which I guess ties
back into... Not completely out of the game, though, just for a little while, right?
Exactly. I believe it's what a lot of people would call a no-compete clause. So, as far as I understand, in just a few months' time, they'll be able to do that again, and that'll be fantastic. And I'm sure we'll go back to Uptown, and everything will be honky-dory. Up until then, we've got some great venues around the city that a lot of people probably don't know that are happening. So we have Trapper John's every Thursday, which is great. You've been there.
Free. I've been there multiple times, usually 5 or 6 local guys.
Yep.
And again, it's completely free. You get to pop down. You get to see 4 or 5 local, professional, semi-professional comedians.
Yep.
trying out new material. I've been down there. I've seen guys like Sean Burton, Chris Tobin, Brian Aylward. Brian Aylward has toured, I believe, internationally. If not nationally, doing stand-up. So for people who think, oh yeah, no, that's just like sitting on my buddy's couch. No, there's some real, I guess, comedy heavy hitters in town who actually do show up and will try out new material at these venues. So
for sure. And you just named some of the heavy hitters right there. Chris Tobin, Brian Aylward, Sean Burton, Colin Hollett's another one. Matt Wright is another one.
Mike Lynch.
Yeah, Mike Lynch runs Trapper John's. Jokes at John's is the name of the show. Shout out to Mike Lynch there. Paul Warford. Man, the list goes on and on. Nicole Doughton, of course. Myself and Sean and Nicole are doing a show in Grand Falls, Windsor, coming up on May 18th.
There you go, hitting the road.
Cool. Yeah, we're hitting the road. We're going to be at the Classic Theater, so that's going to be a bit of fun.
What date?
Wednesday, May 18th, and tickets are on sale at the Classic Theater right now.
And I'm disappointed by that because that's my birthday.
Is it?
It is.
So come to the comedy show.
Maybe I will. How did that come about? Did you just decide you were going to travel and do? Is it a cross province thing or?
No, it was actually a show that was booked. It was already booked by a friend, and that deal kind of fell through with the theater. And Sean and Nicole and I just kind of said, well, maybe we'll just go straight to the theater and
keep the booking.
And so we had a conversation with Sean Feener, who owns the Classic Theater. Great guy. And here we are. We got the show. We got the poster done. That's being advertised out there now. And hopefully by the end of the week, we've actually got to produce a little video, which they're going to show during the previews of all the movies that happen at the Classic Theater.
Oh, sweet. So you're getting some heavy promotion out in the area.
Exactly.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
So, Jokes at John's has its first anniversary coming up. I believe it's soon. Is it this Thursday, tomorrow night, or is it next week?
As we are recording this on a Wednesday, it is tomorrow, Thursday, and that's April 7th. So that's the 1-year anniversary for Jokes at John's. It's amazing lineup of people. I know Mike really looks after that room, does a good job of getting in the best talent and rotating it. So that, it's not always the same people every week. That's the good thing I like about it. You go 3 weeks in a row, you'll see 3 different rosters of people. You probably see some of the same faces, but hey, we've got a great scene going on here, and Mike does a good job down there. So.
Well, and the scene is also very supportive of each other as well. So while you might see a certain comedian down there, you walk in and think, oh, well, I was here last Thursday, and I know Sean or Chris are sitting over in the corner. They're probably just sitting there because they want to soak up the comedy just as much as the next guy, right?
Sure. And you know what? Things happen too, because life happens. And none of us, most of us are not really, not making a living off this. So when life happens and someone's got to back out, well, yeah, we always go to the shows. You never know when you might say, hey, such and such can't make it. Can you do 5 minutes? Like, things like that happen all the time, which is great.
Well, you mentioned that. I went out to formerly known as Yuck Yucks, now known as Uptown, a couple of weeks ago. Again, my buddy Chris Tobin was set to MC the show. So, usually as the MC, you get like 10 minutes spread out over 3 sets throughout the course of the night. But due to some snafu that went on, he basically got up and did like 40 minutes of his own material, which, again, kind of blew me away. First time I'd ever seen him do like long form comedy. Yep. But you got to see him do a full set. On top of that, Paul Warford was there, and he completely knocked it out of the park too. Yeah,
Paul Warford's fantastic, man. I love his frizzy hair. And that was a situation, I think, where there was maybe a delay in a flight getting in, because it was still Yuck Yucks at the time. And so there was probably someone coming from Toronto area, in that area, coming from the mainland, as we call it. And they probably weren't able to get in. And yeah, it takes people like, Chris and Paul. And I know another great comedian, I can't believe I didn't mention his name earlier, Jason Card. Jason's been there on many occasions where he's had to pull up his socks and do a longer set, and just amazing talent in our scene, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, if you're there and you just want to try it out, Jokes at John's is probably the best way to do it, because you can get down and see it for free.
Yeah.
So Thursday nights, every night starting at 8:00.
No, my God, no. It's billed to start at 9:00, but it usually gets underway around 9:30. Sometimes a little bit later, because Trapper John's, they do screech-ins down there. So depending on how the screech-in is usually at 9:00.
And
So
for those people who have to
no
work
idea.
Friday morning,
Right.
it doesn't go too late either. It's usually over about 11.
It's usually about an hour or so. So yeah, it's over by 11 at the absolute latest.
There you go. You get to be out and get to go home and,
sure.
get to bed and just in time to wake up, and hopefully you're not hungover for Friday.
Exactly. Or if not, you got a good head start.
There you go. Yeah. Hit the ground running.
And also too, I should definitely mention, because I'll probably be brutally murdered if I don't. But another great room here, which is just kind of getting back on the go, is the Levee. And if you're not familiar, anyone local here in St. John's, not familiar where the Levee is, it's above Shamrock City downtown. And we get to do comedy while we listen to the musical stylings of whoever's at Shamrock City that night.
Shamrock, or it's right up in that area above Shamrock with like CBTGs.
Exactly.
And I guess it used to be Roxy's.
Yep.
Maybe right next to the Bull and Barrel.
Yeah, exactly. The doors are next to each other.
Everybody's just getting free plugs here. We got we're gonna see.
Yeah, why not? This is it. This is the fun part about it. We can talk about all these cool things. The Levee is a great room. It's definitely it's a little bit of a longer show, and it's still in its infancy, but Liam Small is running that, and Liam is amazing. Liam's been doing comedy less time than I have. He started a few months after I did, and he's won James Mullinger's comedy boot camp.
I was just gonna say he's getting some accolades.
He's doing really good for himself, and so he's got this room down there with Gene Brown, owns the Levee, and they've been gracious enough to accept us in there on Wednesdays, and man, it's going great. It's getting built up. It's going to do good.
Sweet. So, yeah, I mean, I guess with comedy around the city that strong over the course of time, we'll, I guess, see how the podcast goes. But chances are we'll end up getting some of the local guys on and basically do some commentary. Not necessarily do any material, because I don't think that's really what the format of the show is going to be. But you know what? We'll get them on and we'll get to hear their opinions on some certain stuff. I know some of them are big wrestling fans, so maybe we can talk about some of that.
Absolutely.
Some of them are big sports fans too, so we can touch on that as well.
Yep, for sure. And yeah, I mean, this podcast is going to be about stuff that interests you and I. So yeah, it's going to be a lot about comedy. It's going to be even more about wrestling and, just whatever's happening. So I think it's going to be really fun.
Okay, something that you had brought up that you wanted to talk about, and you kind of just nudged on it there by stuff that we're into, the Foo Fighters breakup rumors.
Oh my God! So yeah, I was seeing all these rumors pop up once every 2 or 3 years. There's these rampant rumors that the Foo Fighters are going to break up. I think every time Dave Grohl tries to do another project, oh my God, Foo Fighters are going to break up.
Which is funny because Dave Grohl's been steadily doing projects for probably the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, even more than that.
I'm just talking about like the stuff that he's been heavily involved in producing. Yeah. So like Sound City, and then he did Sonic Highways, and right now they're doing Sonic Highways 2. Right. And he's done stuff with Corey Taylor and with Lemmy and with Probot, and I mean you name it, and he's basically done it. I mean he's constantly moving. Exactly. Him and Corey Taylor are the two guys that never sit down.
No, never. And Josh from Queens of Stone Age too.
Yeah, Josh Homme, Queens of the Stone Age. Again, he's toured with Queens of the Stone Age going back as much as 10, 15 years ago.
For sure. And so they're doing all these things, and if you've ever watched any sort of video of the Foo Fighters, like for example, Sonic Highways, or if you watched, they did a documentary about the recording of the album Wasted Light. And like it kind of went into their history. It's called Back and Forth.
Yes.
If you watch the documentary Back and Forth, you really understand how close these guys are. Like, they're brothers.
Well, for Wasting Light, they piled up into Dave's house and recorded the entire album.
All
in the garage.
Families were there. So when you start hearing rumors of all Foo Fighters are breaking up, you can tell they're just completely fucking with people, and it's hilarious.
Oh, definitely. Which will bring you to this. Like I said, you heard rumors, which is funny. I didn't hear the rumors. I was just sitting at my computer. I might have been at lunch at work. I might have been just sitting down, and all of a sudden up on Facebook pops Foo Fighters breakup rumors. Yeah. Foo Fighters are gonna make a big announcement.
Right.
So I clicked on the video, and I'm sure you can link it off of the podcast either way.
Sure. Yeah, we're going to make sure you have a link to it. And if you just search up Foo Fighters and look at their channel on YouTube, You'll see the video, and it is absolutely hilarious. Once again, the guy's just a huge middle finger to people who could even come up with such crap that they were going to break up. Hey, if the guys broke up tomorrow, whatever. But I just love the way that they take bullshit rumors to task.
Just with a big smile, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing that I really like about that band. I like their music, obviously, but just how much fun they're having with it is great to see.
I think that they're one of those bands that they wouldn't necessarily break up anyway. They would just kind of take a hiatus. Not that that's what they're doing right now, but like it's fine for Taylor to go and do his solo thing or to do another band, and it's cool for Dave and also Kirsten, Pat to kind of do their own thing. I mean, like I said, they got Butch producing with them again now, so there's and he's just got a new Garbage album came out.
See, now there's something I didn't know.
Yeah,
I need to pay more attention because I do like Garbage. The band. The band Garbage.
Yeah. Recently, I read an interview with him. I believe it was in Rolling Stone or whatever, and he did the same thing. He talked about the Foo Fighters and how they basically hit everything with a smile on their face, and they were never ever in fear of breaking up, and it was something that spawned from a red carpet appearance. I think Taylor was kind of screwing with the paparazzi. And
that's exactly
made
what
a
happened,
comment and.
He basically made a comment. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like, Dave's off doing what he wants to do. Screw him. Something like that. And he just kind of walked out of frame. And, whatever. He did that, but I mean, later that night, I'm pretty sure it was later that night or maybe the next day, they were all together because they were all playing. I know Dave and, they did Nirvana's reunion with Beck. I don't know if you saw that video. I
didn't.
They played The Man Who Sold the World, the Bowie cover that they did on the Unplugged MTV album. So the three, Pat Smear, Dave Grohl, and Chris Novoselic, they all got together and they did that song with Beck, which I was like, Beck? Really? But it was really good.
So I'm going to have to go check it out.
Yeah, there you go. Link that video up too. Done.
All right. Well, now that we got that out of the way, let's. Okay, this is something that's a little bit off the wall. But again, we're both soft drinkers, I guess. Yeah. And I'm a guy. I really love trying new things. I'll basically try anything once. So when I saw an ad come up that said Pepsi were coming out with a new product, I was like, oh yeah, great. I got to get on that.
Woo.
So Ginger Pepsi.
Ginger Pepsi. Can I ask you a question?
You can.
Did you taste it?
I did.
Did it have a soul?
It yes, and it was evil. It was the worst thing I've ever tasted in terms of soda.
Can you liken it to anything? Or?
Yeah, it was. If you like ginger, take your Pepsi and put flakes of ginger in your Pepsi, and that's what it tasted like. It wasn't like I love ginger ale. I can sit down and drink ginger ale all day.
Yeah.
It tastes fine. If I'm cooking, I love to cook with lots of ginger. This was essentially, it was like taking a can of Pepsi and letting ginger sit in it overnight.
Ew.
It was absolutely, I took 2 mouthfuls of it and had to throw the rest of it out. It was absolutely horrid.
Honey, did you leave your ginger root in the Pepsi again?
That was essentially what it was like. It was, and I was so excited to try it. Like I said, I love ginger ale. Maybe my 3rd favorite soft drink.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's up there, right?
So are you a Schweppes or a Canada Dry man?
Oh, Canada Dry for sure.
Really?
You gotta go with the real ginger.
I suppose. You and George Price would be good friends. George Price is one of my comedy friends. Great guy. And he enjoys the Canada Dry as well. So I was raised on Schweppes. I don't know why, but that's where I'm at.
Well, to be honest, if you put one next to the other, I probably would fail the Pepsi taste test. But if I'm picking one up at the store, I'm always going to pick up Canada Dry.
I see. Well, we'll have to try it next time.
You will. Actually, no, you shouldn't. You should definitely... Oh, okay, yes, we can try the back and forth, but definitely don't try Pepsi Ginger. All right, so what was some... Oh, movies. Okay.
Movies. What have you got there, though? We're piling through my list here. What about your list?
Yeah, well, my list is basically wrestling. We can all touch on that later, right. So we won't...
We'll save the best for last.
Yeah. But movies, so what have you seen lately?
I went to visit my buddy in Halifax, and we went and saw Deadpool.
Amazing.
I thought it was hilarious.
Absolutely hilarious.
So
So many just nods to I guess, pop culture and just stupid stuff.
Yeah. The one of the funniest things for me was first of all the when he lost his hand and his hand was growing back. And the dialogue between him and his blind roommate.
Yes, who is also almost steals the show.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So, I'm not going to ruin anything for anybody, but that was... it was good there. When he breaks both of his hands and his leg and
yes, and they're
just flopping around. It's like disgusting, but it's so funny. Like
it's a very early fight scene with Colossus, and Colossus, for those who don't know, is a big metal being, mutant, and X-Men, and they get into a fight, and Deadpool basically just punches him in the face and breaks his hand, and then decides
that wasn't his face.
Punch him in. Okay, he punches him in the testicles. Okay,
yeah, right in the balls
twice, and he broke both of his hands.
This is not a family-friendly podcast. We're going to curse.
We can, and I'm quite good at that.
Good.
I'm going to try to keep my professionalism here for a little bit.
I'm not into comic books at all. Like, I suck. So I had no idea the connection between Deadpool and the X-Men.
So yeah, you're completely out of touch with the Marvel universe, I guess.
In all the universes, I'm not in touch with any of them. There's no touching of universe for me. So I was going to this movie, hearing people say, "Oh my god, this movie's hilarious." Ron Reynolds is in it. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, whatever. The dude from Waiting.
Sure, right. And he was in a movie with Sandra Bullock. She's a saint. So we get there, and I didn't know what to expect, and boom, blown away by this first scene when he's just sitting on the overpass.
Yeah, well, again,
like I said, picture.
Don't want to throw a whole pile of stuff off, but the movie basically it kicks in right away. It makes you latch onto it, and it barely even slows down throughout the movie. I think it clocks in at like an hour and 38 minutes, and it seems like about 10 minutes because it's just constant jokes and action right after the other.
They could have done another half hour, 45 minutes of content, and I'm sure there will be when it comes out in Blu-ray.
Oh yeah, there'll be a director's cut and stuff to come out, and that'll be fun. So no comics at all. I won't liken myself a super fan like I know some of the other guys are. I would call myself an extremely casual comic book fan, but I try and keep up on at least the movies and go back and read some of the older books. Love Batman. And like the Avengers, I've read all the Civil War. That was great. Again, if you haven't read it, you should probably check it out, especially because Captain America comes out in like a month.
Yeah, I don't read much, so I guess that's why I never really got into anything.
But it's like it's not like reading though. It's like, I don't know, watching action happen in front of your face.
Watching still pictures evolve.
More or less, yeah. Or, you know what? If you want a good intro into the comic book world, especially Batman or Superman, Netflix has a ton of animated stuff on there. Like some of the best comics, like say Dark Knight Returns or Batman Year One, that were, I guess, landmark comics throughout the years in the DC universe. Yeah. And now they're all animated with like Kevin Conroy and those guys doing voices. And
I also really got into Iron Man. Like, I love those movies. They're some of my favorites.
The first Iron Man is still one of my favorites, as in, like, I could turn it on today and watch it all the way through and turn it on the second. I hated the third Iron Man movie.
Did you?
With a passion. And I had my reasons. One of the biggest ones was that he was never in the suit when it was Iron Man. Like, I get it, the technology is evolving, but if I'm going to see Iron Man, I want to see Iron Man in the suit. Okay, I don't want to see Tony, and I don't want to see...
But he was in it a few times, wasn't he?
On and off, and when he was, his head was off.
Oh, like, right.
That's another big pet peeve I have about superhero movies. Like,
see, now I'm never going to be able to like that.
Show the guy's face.
I'm never going to be able to like that movie ever again. And I really enjoyed the third one.
Well, now it's just sucked the fun right out of it for you.
Fucked it right up the ass for me, Colin. Thanks so much.
Like you're watching it. Like if I wanted a cyborg, I would be okay with that. If I wanted Tony Stark, I would be okay with that. But I'm going to see Iron Man, not going to see Tony Stark remote control a robot around the room for 3 hours.
You silly goose.
I have other issues with that movie too, but we won't go into those right now.
All right, fine.
We can have a whole new podcast where we just let me rant on Iron Man who are
supposedly like plants or something.
Yeah, well, the Iron Legion and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. That was kind of cool to have in there.
It's pretty good.
All right.
Let's get to your stuff.
Let's get to my stuff. Okay. Wrestling-wise, obviously, this is probably the biggest week of the year. So much stuff to touch on. We'll probably do it in order. But again, as we talk, stuff's just going to come out. So it'll be a little bit out of order. But first,
sure.
What did you think of NXT TakeOver Dallas?
I watched it live, and I strained to stay awake to watch it.
Because it didn't start till late. It's Newfoundland. It didn't start till 11:30.
Yeah, it started at 11:30 p.m. here, and I struggled to stay awake. I watched the entire thing, and I loved it.
Oh, it was honestly, I was the same. I watched, say, the first 2-3 matches.
Yeah.
And I ended up working the next morning, but I actually I ended up sneaking it in on my lunch break.
Oh, did you?
I did.
It's a long
I brought my
lunch break.
iPad to work, and I snuck
long lunch break. So.
I know that's what happens when you work all weekends. I snuck it in on my lunch break, and honestly, one of the best pay-per-views I've seen in a long time. NXT, they haven't had a bad, I guess, super show yet.
There's something about NXT that draws people to it, and I think it's because it's just so raw and untouched by the corporate hand. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's a very corporate thing anyway, but it just seems like they don't fuss over things as much as Raw and SmackDown and, everything else they do. It's kind of like these guys they're the new kids. We're teaching them the way we want them to do things, and they're going out and they're having these matches and showing everybody what they're doing. They're proving everybody what they can do, and it feels like they're not being held back as much. Whereas the product that comes on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown or pay-per-views, the main roster, we'll say, those things seem to be as if they go through 14 writers before it actually gets to TV. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I do. When you see Raw, you can kind of tell that certain people, and I mean, it's not anybody specific or anything, but you can tell they're either unhappy or just going through the motions.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them are comfortable with where they are. Whereas NXT to me seems like it's I won't necessarily say new, but it's old school in a sense that the storylines are very simplified.
Exactly.
They don't
that's what I was. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Over-dramatized stuff. It's literally straight up, you know what, this is a wrestling show, so two of us are going to fight.
Yeah.
But also on top of that, they've kind of taken to the philosophy that they're going to be their own independent right now. So they're kind of signing up all the free agents, and while they're I won't say they're rating the talent, because obviously all the guys want to come over, but it's leaving the indies open to create new stars, which is great. I mean, we've seen guys here who are now starting to take off in their own right, who've had a little kiss with NXT or Ring of Honor, or I mean, we've had guys like Hotshot Danny Duggan here, and he's wrestled for Ring of Honor. The Southern Savior John Schuyler and his tag team partner Corey Hollis have had touches with NXT.
Yeah.
Obviously,
they continue to have touches with NXT.
They continue to ongoing. Dash Wilder is a former tag team partner of John Schuyler. So, like I said, they got the foot in the door there
for sure. And to see other things happening too, like a friend that I've made over the years now being involved with local wrestling here was Rhino. And I know he was working his rear end off trying to, just get back with WWE. And boom, all of a sudden, let's bring him into NXT and help him, or,
let him help develop the younger guys.
Exactly, have him help develop the younger guys. And, fantastic job. He's still doing a couple of little things here and there with them. And It's great to see.
They did the same thing. I mean, you got guys like, I believe Paul London had a short run with them around the same time Rhino did.
Yep, exactly.
But also really exciting stuff, especially for me, someone who's been, I'll say, I've been following TNA since its advent, the first year, like the $5 pay-per-views a week.
Yep.
And seeing someone like Bobby Roode
in the crowd.
Get a try with NXT. Just see him in the crowd on a WWE show, or again on the NXT show. Austin Aries comes out, and so someone who's basically, he's been a Ring of Honor world champ.
Yeah.
He's built his name on the indies, never really got a look from anyone else.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden he's taken on and winning against an NXT homegrown like Baron Corbin, who's also a phenomenal talent.
Yeah, I mean they're all doing great things right now. And I can't even pronounce the dude's name. That's how bad I am. But you know what I'm talking about.
Nakamura.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nakamura.
Again, first international match comes into...
People are listening to this right now laughing at me.
They are. And I can say it. It's Shinsuke Nakamura.
It's not Nakamura.
It is.
Nakamura. So I don't know. Anyway... We're going to get made fun of for all that, but that's fine. That match in itself was... I've never seen anything like that, even remotely close to that, under the WWE umbrella.
Well, it's just exciting. It's the same as you getting to watch Zayn and Kevin Owens wrestle the first time they wrestled in NXT.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff you won't get to see... in the WWE, but I mean to watch Kevin Owens do something like the turnbuckle or the ring apron powerbomb, stuff they've been doing for years on the indies, to just see him roll it out in under a WWE banner.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether it's NXT or the main roster, it was a breath of fresh air. And now I agree. Now they got that brand touring, so they're also making money off that brand, hopefully. I know they're selling merch hand over fist to at least the hardcore wrestling fans. Your casuals might not watch it, but I mean it's not for the casuals, and they've kind of come out and shown that by signing like your indie darlings like Aries and Samoa Joe and Finn Balor and Nakamura and Sami Zayn. I mean the list goes on and on. Apollo Crews.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing what they're doing with that product, and I just hope it continues that way. I hope it's allowed to do what it's doing at this level right now forever, and just keep doing it the way they're doing it. If it gets, I just see it getting too complicated eventually, and then that'll be the failure of it. You know what I mean?
Well, hopefully they can keep it, and it is supposed to be a developmental organization too, right? So basically it's giving their talent a television show to kind of get used to the main roster, production values, and that kind of things. But again, I read an interview with Finn Balor earlier this week, and he had a great quote in a sense that it was like, I'm not being kept in NXT. It's not like, when am I going to get called up to the main roster? He made it seem, he was like, I'm not dying to get called up to the main roster. I'm enjoying where I am, and while I'm gonna be ready when they do call, I get to kind of do my own thing, and I'm learning stuff every single day when I'm down in NXT. So it's not something that is really a downfall.
Right. And on the network, I heard the exact same thing, because on the network there is I guess a little documentary that they made leading up to NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. And in that, they interview Balor a bunch, and they go into his like body paint and stuff like that, and the process he goes through there. And he said, like, I'm more than content right here where I am. Like, this is great for me.
Well, and another really cool quote, and we've kind of already touched on it, but he said basically back home in Ireland they have it's a saying that's called "jobs for the boys." Basically, once you get your foot in the door, you do anything you can to prop that door open, and you get as many of your friends in as you can. because it's always great to be to basically, you want to be working with your friends, you want to always be able to have fun at work, you want to be able to evolve with them.
Exactly.
And as we've seen, like I said, he's gotten guys like AJ Styles under the banner.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at I guess the Bullet Club are essentially doing a mass exodus of New Japan and are on their way over at some point. We don't know if it's going to be NXT or the main roster, but they're going to be there at some point, where you got Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson.
They posted a picture, I think, with Scott Hall on Twitter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, backstage at Raw.
Okay, so...
Yeah, so, I mean, maybe it's happening sooner than we think.
Well, hopefully it does. Like I said, I'm interested to see what happens. I mean, there are a lot of guys with history with them. You got AJ Styles is one of them.
Yeah.
Again, Finn Balor is another one. So I guess the possibility to have him in either NXT or the main roster is right there. I know this is something that ate you up a little bit after watching TakeOver. Talk about the Samoa Joe blood stoppages.
Oh my God. Just let it happen. You know? I mean, you're on the WWE network. You guys don't have this going to, like, this isn't being aired on USA Network. Parents are able to turn on and off the parental settings in this thing. Why would you stop that magic? Like, I'm not joking. It was at least 6 times. Not that they came to a complete halt, but at least twice they came to a complete stop.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here because I'm the production guy. I've done like live wrestling, I've done live TV shows, I've done whatever. And I just, from their point of view, you're looking at it, and if I don't know what the rating on the show was, so we'll say specifically that it was a TV 14 or TV PG, like everything that they do.
Yeah, it was PG. It was meant to be PG,
and that's kind of where you're running into the issue. It's sure the parents can turn it off, but if I'm a parent and I had left my kid to watch NXT TakeOver, and now all of a sudden Joe is busted open, which again, it happens in wrestling. It's something that
in any sport.
You should be but in any other sport, you're stopped to clean the blood off. In a game of hockey, if you get caught, you're not allowed to re-enter the playing surface till you're stitched up and the blood is stopped.
That's different.
But that's what we're talking about here.
But it's different.
I mean, they do the same thing if there's a really bad cut in MMA. They'll kind of bring the doctor in, let the doctor look at it, kind of patch it up. Your problem lied where they didn't properly fix the cut the first time. If they had to drop some Vaseline in it, it would have been fine.
Sure. And I can agree with that. The first thing I noticed was someone threw him a towel, told him to wipe his face off. Again, that's not going to stop.
No, but from a production standpoint, I think that's more like get the blood off your face in terms of like it's we want to use the footage. We want this to be as clean as it possibly can be. Sure. So like get it off your face kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, again with the Vaseline, they could have easily taken care of it. Instead of they slowed the match over and over again. Now the ref tried, and you could tell that Joe was getting frustrated because he kept pushing him away.
Oh yeah. But that was when we got around the 5th or 6th time.
Yes.
In his defense. And at that point, I was just thinking, like, just let it go. Just let it go. Because it's at the point, it got to a point where it was like somebody was pumping the brakes on this match. Now, they worked their asses off to get it back.
And they did.
And they did.
The crowd never ever actually left. Yeah. Not physically nor mentally. The crowd stayed with it, and it stayed hot, and they were cheering, and
for sure
everybody was jacked.
They did, yeah. It was great after all, but it just bugged the ever-loving piss out of me. Like, fix it correctly, be competent enough to fix it, and just let it continue. Don't. If it hadn't been fixed in 2 tries, then let it go. That's my opinion.
Or just fix it right. Don't go in and wipe them with a tissue and then throw the tissue on the floor and expect it to stop. Right. Just like I said,
which is exactly that happened.
It did, and I commented on it when we watched the show the second time. Yeah. Just again, it was just like, oh, what are you doing, throwing it on the floor? Just stop the cut. You got EMTs there. Yeah. It's like I said, it's something that should be simple.
6 guys in blue gloves. Let them do something.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about the women's match? Was good. Asuka versus Bailey.
Oh, it was amazing.
Or Asuka versus Bailey.
Well, I can't pronounce any names that are not English. Sorry. It's going to be the downfall of the podcast.
What did you think of the crowd when Bailey lost?
A normal reaction, I guess. I don't know. Was there anything out of the ordinary about that?
To me, it was just sheer shock. Like, and maybe it was because Bailey only won the belt a couple of months ago, and everybody expected her to kind of go with it for the long run.
Sure.
But the match was a great match, one of the best women's matches we've seen. Again, they've been doing that in NXT. It's been the best women's wrestling I've ever seen, hands down.
Oh, for sure.
And it's been ongoing.
And it's spilling into the main roster now, which is fantastic.
It is. It's great to see actual women's wrestling.
Yeah.
Something that I wasn't a big fan of, well, basically ever.
No, and
but it's actual wrestling now, as opposed to women rolling around.
Yeah, but I mean, they really.
There's a time and a place for it, and right now it's interesting. It's exciting.
It's good, and they're actually wrestling, because we had that period of time when we had like good wrestlers like Jacqueline and Trish Stratus and Lita, and they weren't great. But they were good.
They were trying.
Right. And they were, I think back then, like Fit Finlay was the women's coach, and they were really doing good things. Like, it was watchable. It was enjoyable. And then after Trish retired and after Lita retired.
Well, then it went to the Divas.
Then when it switched over to this whole diva concept, it was just women rolling around, and it was stupid and it was degrading, and why are we doing this?
But even like in terms of like, if you go all the way back, and I'm probably going to catch some heat for this, but I didn't care about the Fabulous Moolah. I didn't care about Mae Young. I didn't care about Wendy Richter or the Jumping Bomb Angels or whoever.
We were born. It just was so long ago that it doesn't register.
No, but I've seen it, and it was wrestling. But again, the best wrestler that I can remember, or two of them, that I can remember in my era of watching wrestling, Alundra Blaze and Bull Nakano.
Sure.
Was the best wrestling I can remember seeing up to that point.
Yep.
And right now, you got Sasha Banks, Bailey, Becky Lynch. They're destroying everything.
Oh,
head and shoulders above. And I mean, I guess that's the style. It's evolved over the years. But, and again, Alundra Blaze kind of paved the way. Mm-hmm. But you're looking at it now, and they're having better matches than some of the dudes.
Medusa,
Alundra Blaze, whatever. It's all the same. It's Sherry Martel.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. So it's great to see it coming around again, basically.
Yeah, it was good. Okay, what about Mania? What did you think as a whole? And we can break it down in a minute.
Yeah, well, we watched it together, basically. A bunch of people came to the house, and we took in the pay-per-view. Well, I guess they're not even pay-per-views anymore. Like, what are we supposed to call these?
Super shows, I guess. I still call them pay-per-views, but, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I will, too.
We just don't pay-per-view anymore.
Exactly. We pay our $9.99 a month, and...
Yeah, I'd pay a lump sum at the beginning of the year, because we both know that I'm not going to cancel that shit, and neither are you.
No, neither am I.
Yeah. I don't even have cable. I'll sit down and watch wrestling like 4 nights a week.
Me too. Especially like all the documentaries they're doing now, like the behind the scenes type of shit.
Absolutely. I'll watch.
I'll eat that up.
Documentaries, like the old DVDs.
Yeah.
I'll just sit down and watch ECW Hardcore TV for no reason, just because I got nothing better to do.
Nothing better to do. Perfect. So Mania, I will say this up front. The Mania and the pre-show was way too long.
Yeah, it ran between the pre-show and I mean, I showed up really early in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And we did watch like the Hall of Fame and stuff
I don't think that really screwed us over on the timing too much. But like
between the pre-show and the actual show itself, ran, I think it was close to 7.5 hours.
It was up there. It was 7.5 hours. So it was it was difficult to sit still and watch for that long, like it really was.
Well, you're getting into Super Bowl type hours here now. I mean, like I said, you got, to be honest, I was surprised they went as over on the main show as they did. It was almost a full hour over.
It was more than an hour, I think. Because they went, they went.
It was I thought it was about 4 hours and 50 minutes, I think the main show was.
Yeah, but it was still a long time. And I think by the time by the time the Hell in a Cell match came around, and then it was like Shane McMahon did a big jump and then lost, and everybody was like, all right, we're done now. No, you're not.
Now there's 2 full matches left.
Yeah, there's 2 full matches left, and this little thing that we planned that we didn't tell anybody about.
Yeah, which again, to be honest, that was one of the worst parts of the night for me. To have The Rock come out randomly.
So ridiculous. Like, oh man, it was bad. And then just to bury the Wyatts like that,
to be honest,
it just seemed like a huge afterthought to me.
It was.
I could see they were killing several birds with one stone in that whole spot.
Well, I'm just curious as to what the thought behind it was. I read that The Rock had requested to work with the Wyatts.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was. I don't know if it's true or not.
Wow.
But from the other side, like, what do the Wyatts gain from something like that, where The Rock comes back, beats the piss out of him for 3 minutes, and then just leaves, and he's gone again for another year?
Yeah.
Is there a rub that they get from it, or?
I don't think there was much of a rub from that. Like, that was. And again, you know what? Who am I to say that? But just to my eyes, it just seemed like a waste of time for them. It just seemed like it was taking away from their character to be even involved in all of this. You know what I'm trying to say?
I do. First of all, before I get into a big rant or anything here now, I'm going to say I thought WrestleMania as a whole, and I'm probably in the minority, I thought it was a great show.
I think it's definitely been the best WrestleMania in a few years.
I was, and maybe it was because I went in with low expectations.
Yeah.
But I was okay with everything that happened, pretty much. I didn't feel like I was robbed at all. Mm-hmm. Like the Shane thing, I didn't expect him to win, but I expected him to pull off some cool stuff. He did.
Oh man, that was wild.
I think there was the Triple H Reigns match. I thought it was a good match.
Yep.
But at the same time, they were damned if you do, damned if you don't. People hated Triple H. They didn't want the belt on him, but they also don't want the belt on Roman Reigns. So what do you do?
Exactly.
I guess people would have kind of, or at least the internet wrestling community or the internet wrestling critics, as I like to call them, would have, they just would have got angry and upset at either way. Regardless of what had happened. Oh, well, screw Triple H. He's holding Roman Reigns down. But then all of a sudden, oh, well, screw Roman Reigns. Nobody wants him as the champion. When, I mean, I don't know. I think they're going to set up AJ Styles. And to be honest, AJ's going to lose.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're going to give him that little rub there. I mean, maybe something happens and I don't know. Hopefully the Authority takes a hike and we don't get to see I guess I just tired of the GM and Authority figure angle.
Yeah. It's... I do think it adds to the show in that it helps to progress bits and pieces of the various storylines.
I think you should have a Authority figure.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think they should be the evil Authority figure
I get what you mean. And I think that the most fun usually comes from when there's the opposing forces and they're trying to one-up each other all the time. I think that brings a certain energy to the program. You know, some of the best stuff they ever did was like Vince versus Shane, or Shane and Stephanie versus Vince, or, you know, Vince and Stephanie versus Shane. Like, this all has happened before. And I think that's why people freaked the hell out when Shane first showed up.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, it was kind of a surprise. He hadn't been around in several years.
And I don't even think there was a whisper of a rumor online.
But the same thing happens with Vince every time Vince comes back. Like, Vince will disappear now once this Shane thing is done.
Yeah. And
he'll kind of go away he might go away for a year. Might go away for 6-8 months. But then he comes back, and people love the fact that he's back. Mm-hmm. Same with Austin. Austin, when he comes back, not that he ever is going to come back and wrestle, back and throw a stunner or whatever, like he did on Mania or whatever.
Yeah, that was
but
cool.
Again, he always gets the pop. Same with The Rock. I don't think they'll ever not get the pop and not make the money.
Yeah.
But I think they should be saved for, I don't know, just occasions rather than bringing them all back every so often.
No, I get you. I get what you're saying. I agree with that.
What about the Andre Battle Royal? So they've kind of, to be honest, I don't really remember what happened in the last couple of years. Last year, Cesaro won it, didn't he?
Cesaro won it first, and then Big Show won it last year, and this year was Baron Corbin.
Corbin, yes. And again, he had a debut the following night on Raw. On, I guess, his full main roster debut.
Well, I mean, main roster debut was a main roster debut that happened at Mania. So
he got to have his second touch the second night, and had a double DQ with Dolph. I didn't see Raw. Was it a good match?
I didn't see it either. Sorry, you caught me in mid-yawn.
No.
And that's not because I'm tired of what we're talking about. It's just I had a nap before I came here.
All right.
So I didn't... I don't recall off the top of my head exactly what happened there, which leads me to believe that I may have had to take a bathroom break at that time, and I need to go back and watch it.
Okay. What about AJ Jericho?
So that was a four-way for the main event.
Yeah. I'm jumping around. We're back at Mania now.
Are we back at Mania?
We are back at Mania now. We're in your living room. It's about, I don't know, we're probably 11:30 at night.
Yeah. It was a good match. Nothing really extraordinary about it, but I mean, it was two guys who proved time and time again they know what the hell they're doing.
It was a decent wrestling match again. Like I said, I don't know. I get a kick out of Jericho because he's just so cheesy and he knows it.
Yeah, well, and he's Jericho.
Yeah. And he's like rubbing like I don't know. Do you follow him on Twitter?
Sometimes.
Someone threw a question. Sometimes. Does he block you often?
No. I just don't really look at Twitter a whole lot.
Well, he had this exchange with a guy. Someone tagged him in a post saying, "Oh man, I really hate this I Am Jericho guy." Yeah. And he responded to him and he was like, "Well, that's the point, bonehead." He's playing the bad guy all the time now, which is great. Like, he doesn't mind throwing stuff in your face. And like I said, if he's going to be a dick, he's been around the block. He loves wrestling. He loves swerving the internet crowd. He's told them I'm not showing up and then showing up on Raw. It's, I don't know. Like I said, he's living the gimmick right now. And it's kind of amusing.
But it's fantastic. I've always been a huge fan of Jericho. Whether he's a good guy or a bad guy, it doesn't matter. You know what you're going to get. You don't know what you're going to get, which means you know what you're going to get with Jericho. You know?
Yeah, I do. I do know what I'm going to get.
Yeah. You know you're going to get the unexpected. There you go.
What about AJ winning the number one contender on Raw?
So now we're back to Raw.
Now we're going to the four-way.
We're going back to Raw. Okay, so the four-way. It kind of sucked that Sami Zayn wasn't in that match.
I agree.
But at the same time, they brought Cesaro back, which was great to see him back, and I'm a big fan of Cesaro. Have been for a long time.
My thoughts on that is, I don't think you're losing much by not having Zayn in the match.
No, for sure.
Because you're setting something else up. Like I said, and to be honest, I do want to see Owens and Zayn go at it again. I want to see it on the main roster.
Yeah.
It's something we've been dying to see for years. I want to see them pull out some of the, I don't know. I honestly think they're going to have a solo ladder match, probably 2 pay-per-views down the road. Or some kind of other crazy gimmick match where they get to kind of show off their stuff.
And it's going to be like
maybe a cage.
Those guys have already done so much together. I can't wait to see.
But you look back and it's stuff that most of the WWE audience hasn't seen.
Exactly.
It's kind of like when Punk kind of did the pipe bomb and they did the WWE Summer of Punk.
Yeah.
Anybody who's seen him before knew almost everything that they did in that run was stuff he had done before.
Exactly.
And anybody who watches his documentary on the network, again, you go back and you're looking at stuff from Ring of Honor and before, or wherever he was too, and you're looking at it and it's like, wow, like he really did just reuse all of his material. Exactly. And it was because it worked.
Yeah, and it worked a million times better when they did it for WWE TV.
It did. And like I said, he drops the pipe bomb and he starts ragging on Vince live on TV. I remember I watched that the first time.
Takes the title and leaves.
I was in Alberta and I was home on my supper break from work, and you just pop on whatever. I'm home for an hour and I'll watch it and then I'll come back and PVR the rest of it later. And I was just mind blown. Yeah. Not only that, like I was a fan anyway, but the fact that he came out and he was essentially work shooting live on the air like blew me away. It almost brings us back to our NCW CEW run-in.
Oh yeah, that. We won't talk about that.
But it was just like I said, you're just getting to see stuff,
fresh.
And they can redo stuff
They've
done before and make it fresh for the new audience.
Exactly,
and
they did a great job.
I'm just really excited to see it.
Yeah, and they did a great job. So,
and then you got. I didn't see the debut of Enzo and Big Cass, but having them come in against the Dudley Boys, love the concept.
It was hilarious too. They had a couple of good burns on the Dudley Boys, and I think they insulted Bubba Ray's hairline, and they drew attention to Devon's lazy eye. So, and I have to say something. Like, I know it was the Raw after WrestleMania, and that crowd is always super into it and super loud, but there wasn't a person in that building who wasn't saying everything right along with them as they were riddling off their speeches.
Which again goes back. I mean,
and that's the way it is in NXT.
WrestleMania crowd is it's typically not, I guess, all smart marks, but specific year or this week of the year, that's what you're going to get. So if it was
you've definitely got the most passionate fans,
exactly,
because they're it's
WrestleMania.
Going to WrestleMania, people are buying the whole package. They're buying the week's worth of events. They're not missing any of it. So
exactly. So you're getting a lot of your NXT crowd sitting at a main roster event, and they get to, like I said, they get to chant along with SAWFT Soft and all that kind of stuff. And to be honest, I find Enzo and Cass absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting, I guess, almost close to an hour now. So
we're getting handy. We'll go for a little bit longer.
Go a little bit longer. I was gonna say, okay, we can touch on some local stuff or whatever. But yeah,
we can talk about some local stuff here in the hometown of St. John's, Newfoundland.
Well, this is something that, to be honest, I was really excited when I heard about it, and after I saw it, to be honest, I'm still unsure how I felt about it. I thought it was great. LCW doing shows at Uptown.
Sure.
They're going to do some adult-oriented shows.
So that ties back into what we were talking about earlier. In the Yuck Yucks franchise is gone, and the bar, the club that Yuck Yucks was operating out of is called Uptown. And now what they've started to do to kind of, fill up their time, fill up their schedule, is they've started doing some LCW shows, which is great.
I got two sides to this, and I love it and I hate it at the same time.
All right, well, let's dive into it, baby.
Okay, just this is, to my knowledge, this is the first time they've done a bar show since like Club One, since the early days of LCW, correct?
Definitely, yeah. It's been, I'm going to say we haven't done one since like 2010, 2011.
Okay, and I wasn't here then.
Yeah.
But what was the content of the show like? Was it very adult oriented? Was it still family friendly, but in an adult atmosphere kind of thing? Set the setting.
It was very much the same, family oriented show, but the boys were allowed to embellish a little bit more, maybe have a little bit more fun in the bar atmosphere.
Well, and that was one of the things that I really liked about it. I love the fact that they're getting to have more shows. They essentially have their own venue now. They can do shows whenever they want, as long as the roster is there. Yeah,
it's going to be a pretty regular thing from the looks of things. So
love that idea. Love the fact that the guys get more in-ring work.
Well, exactly. And then, that's something that I've been learning. And my opinion on this has changed a bunch of times over the years. But right now I'm of the opinion, because it's the same thing with comedy. The more mic time you get, the better you get. So the more ring time everybody gets, the better they get. And it's only positive, going forward.
The other side of the coin is, in my mind, LCW spent the last, since I've been home, we'll say 6 years, building their fan base. They're building the fact that they're a family show and anybody can come out and see it, and you can take your kids and it's okay, and it's not what CEW used to be. There's not the blood, there's not all the crazy violence, the weapons and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then you bring it into this atmosphere, and there was language and stuff, and it was violent, and it almost seemed a little forced to me. Not that I didn't like it, because I was there. I thought the show was completely fun, to be honest, it was fresh, but it just wasn't what I was used to seeing from that crowd of characters.
Right. So, and maybe it's just something that we've all got to get used to again. I wasn't at either of those shows myself. But I've heard from a bunch of people that the people who were in attendance had an awful lot of fun because they were able to let loose too.
Well, absolutely. I like I said, I was there the second night.
Some of the language and some of the chants.
The crowd were cursing back and forth, and Justin Locke had an exchange up close and personal with one of the fans. I mean, not to the point where it was going to get violent or anything, but I mean, you could tell that he was having fun with it, and he was up in the guy's face, and like I said, I mean, I don't know, it's just there's something strange about seeing Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know, just dropping some adult language. It's different to see Justin Locke do it or Sheik Aziz do it because they're the bad guys. But seeing a fan favorite like Mr. Fantastic or Dynamite Dylan Davis dropping that kind of language, to me it was like. And I know, like, I don't know, it's not over the line or anything, but I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, gee, I didn't expect him to do that. He's supposed to be a good guy.
What's he saying?
Well, yeah, it's like, oh, my virgin ears. But it was, again, I loved the venue. I thought it was a really fun show. They definitely had a lot of fun doing it. There was a brawl in the crowd, and Sheik got covered in poutine, and there was wrestlers drinking beer, and it was, like I said, it was completely new.
I was actually at the club the other day, and as I rounded the corner to kind of come out into the main area, I looked, and I was looking at one of the walls, and there's a giant big piece. No, well, it's been repaired. So there's a giant big piece of new gyprock, or whatever you call it, plastered in. And I was like, what happened here? And, Mr. Fantastic threw Sheik Aziz into the wall. I was just like, who else but Mr. Fantastic?
But again, I love the fact that they have their own venue. They can kind of do it. And
it's definitely a good thing.
I also love the fact that right now, and it's kind of split between all three feds.
Yeah.
They're not sharing talent, but there are certain guys who are working CEW and LCW, and there are other guys that are working NEW, and some of them are working all three.
Yeah.
And it actually feels like a legit indie right now because anybody can work wherever. And again, like you said, the more ring time you get, the better you get.
Exactly. And I think that's the wavelength that most everybody is on right now, and I'm happy to see it. I'm happy to be a part of it, and things can only get better.
Yeah, I mean, New Evolution Wrestling they've had 2 shows so far, both at the CLB, both wall to wall with people. I was at the first one. I didn't see the second one, but I heard the crowd was possibly even bigger. It was equally as large.
I was there. I didn't get a chance to watch most of the show, but I was there kind of tucked into the office at the Armory. And, I mean, there were people coming in. They were just lined up at the door. And as they were, coming to pay to get in, the guy was just like, there are no seats left. There are no seats left.
So you're coming in to stand?
And, I mean, a couple people were coming in and they were like, oh. And they left.
So they turned people away that didn't want to stand
exactly. It was officially standing room only at that point. And I mean, there was room for them. It wasn't like they were over the capacity or anything. It was just the CLB has a limited number of chairs. I think they have 450 odd chairs for people to sit in, and give or take a few.
I was going to say, you take 20 chairs, put them in the back for the guys,
and
the rest are out on the floor.
They're out on the floor, and they were pulling chairs from wherever they could find them. So it's a good thing.
And again, I didn't see the second show. I've watched the first show. That show, to be honest, it was one of the best local shows I had seen in a long time. I love Steve Arsenault. I guess X-rated Steve Arsenault or the Showstopper or whatever he's calling himself. Was a great talent, easy to work with. He was fun, played to the camera. I think he's a great worker. Despite being a bit of a dick on camera, he's good. He's good to have to help build NEW from the ground up.
Yeah,
Again,
no, he's a decent guy, I got to say.
Dylan Davis, same thing. I think it's great to have him there. Justin Locke is coming along. Like I said, he's putting a lot of hard work.
Justin Locke has come a long way in the last couple of years, a long way. And, hats off to him for putting the work in.
Absolutely. He's been around a long time. So, like I said, it's good to see him kind of getting his due. Same thing with guys like Matt Wheeler and Matt Burns. Like I said, they only or Burnsy, I know, only gets limited ring time in terms of the fact that he has another job, and a lot of times he doesn't necessarily able to make the shows. But it's great to see those guys actually getting the ring time and doing their thing and having a lot of fun while they're doing it.
I agree.
So let's just do a quick rundown of the shows that we got coming up in the next month around here. It's a crazy busy month for local wrestling.
Yeah, go ahead.
We got April 9th, an afternoon matinee, I believe starts at 2 o'clock. Doors open at 1 at the CLB, as well as an evening show on April 9th that starts at, I think doors open at 7.
I think it probably opens at 6:30, something like that.
And then there's another show the following night at the Community Center in Dildo. All those are New Evolution Wrestling. Then we got Legend City Wrestling, got April 15th at Easter Seals House. Another phenomenal venue for wrestling. Always get good, loud crowds there.
Yeah, I'm glad to see someone back at Easter Seals House.
Absolutely. And we know the Easter Seals crowd love to have wrestling there. A lot of them have been fans for a long time. April 16th, Knights of Columbus in Carbonear. It's going to be another Legend City Wrestling show. And the third one wrapping off that weekend is April 17th at the Eastlink Center in Clarenville.
Yep, it's good stuff. That Eastlink Center is a beautiful venue.
I've never been out there, but to be honest, maybe one of these days I'll jump on another tour and I don't know, have some fun like the last time.
We had some fun the time you came to Labrador with us.
I know, it was great. Stranded on the side of the road, riding in across the Trans-Labrador Highway in the middle of May. It was a little chilly.
A little bit cold. There may or may not have still been mountains of snow on either side of the road.
There definitely was.
And then, of course, there was a porcupine that someone thought was a bear.
It was a big porcupine.
It was a big porcupine.
And then rounding off the month, the final show of the month of April is April 28th at the CLB. We have Cutting Edge Wrestling Crossroads.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a fun show. Like I said, busy month.
Yeah, I think it is a busy month. I don't remember in recent memory this many shows happening ever.
To be honest, me either. I love the fact that both promotions are kind of doing not completely cross Newfoundland, but I mean, you got guys that are wrestling in different cities. You got Dildo, we got Clarenville. We got Dildo, we got Carbonear, we got Clarenville, plus a couple of shows at the CLB, one at the Easter Seals House, so they're spread it around the city too. You're not getting the same crowd at every single show. Like I said, not that there's anything wrong, but the CLB often tends to get the people who live directly around that area. So,
but even recently, and I'll speak to that just real quick, I've noticed in the last couple of years, primarily because I've been a part of LCW, but I've noticed that there's a big change in the crowd of people that comes to see shows at the CLB.
Well, because at one point it was a smaller crowd. I guess it was more like a diehard.
Yeah, for
crowd.
Sure. And
but now,
we still get those people.
You do.
But now there's a lot more people coming out to see shows. There's a lot more
promotion going on. You got the social media is making a huge part. Postering is making a huge part. I don't know. It's just great.
And for LCW, the exposure of being on TV brought a lot of people out for sure.
There is one thing, though, that I wanted to touch on, and I talked with you about it earlier today, just before we finish off. As we talked, kind of there's talent sharing going on.
Yeah.
Some of the promoters are for it. Some of them would prefer it didn't happen. I think positivity around the scene right now is kind of what's needed. So less you worry about the other promotion and the more you kind of build up your own without doing anything to the detriment of them is probably better.
It feels like to me, and maybe I'm blind to something that's happening that I don't know about, but it seems to me that things between the promotions that are here have never been healthier.
It is, but occasionally, and maybe it's just I'm catching the negative side of it, because like I said, it is a hugely positive thing. There's a lot of great talent, but occasionally you'll see like one guy taking to be honest, it's a Facebook warrior type thing where they're making like a
mountain out of a molehill.
Not even, because they're not even saying anything directly at a different person. It's more like, oh, well, why do people type on Facebook and make bad comments about other stupid people? And it's like, well, why would you even comment on that? Why would you just, you know what, suck it up?
I don't know. And I don't think we'll ever fully be rid of that kind of thing, but
same thing, like I get a lot of like people talking about like posters being torn down.
Yeah.
And it's not one promotion or the other, or it could be one or the other. But I honestly don't think that anybody in the scene is malicious enough to go around and specifically tear down that stuff.
No. And you know what? To the whole poster being torn down thing, like it's been happening ever since I've been involved with wrestling here. Ever since. It's always been complaining, oh my God, all these posters we just put up are torn down. But talk to people who are doing like theater downtown and like shows.
Is it just possible that, you know, some just dickhead, general public guy walked by and said, you know what, it's going to be really fucking funny to tear this poster down?
Exactly my point. It's not just wrestling posters being torn down.
It's anything that people can destroy.
Exactly.
They will, especially drunk people downtown.
Piece of paper, rip. You know. It looks like someone put some time and money into this. Rip.
Yeah, it's like, oh, there's someone put effort into this, so let's mess with it.
It's not a, you know, like FU to LCW or an FU to NEW or an FU to CEW. It's just an FU because I can.
Yeah, which I don't know. Like I said, I mean, that's
what I think it is. I mean, maybe over the years it's happened, but yeah, I don't know. I want to believe. I want to remain cautiously optimistic that it's not anybody involved with wrestling doing that kind of stuff.
Well, let's hope so. More positivity around the scene. Everybody worry about your own promotion, not so much about what the other guy is doing. And like I said, everybody keep in the ring and keep getting better.
Exactly. And the next thing you know, you'll be signed by NXT.
There you go. You be the next John Schuyler or Stephen Walters or Austin Aries, whoever.
There's lots of people
there. You be you, man.
Yeah.
It would be a Tony King or a Dynamite Dylan Davis or whatever. That was something else we forgot to talk about.
What did we forget to talk about?
Zack Ryder, man.
Zack Ryder, yeah, but I don't want to talk about that because then it got sad.
It didn't get sad. It's just I didn't see Raw, but I know he lost.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought they gave him he got his WrestleMania moment.
And then for some reason, the Miz's wife is back. And I think they're going to have some sort of thing where, like, I don't know if they're going to continue to use Zack's dad because they involved him in that whole scenario. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch it fold out. I honestly think neither of them are going to have the IC belt in 3 weeks' time.
But the whole premise of him winning that ladder match, I mean, he was probably the least likely in anybody's mind to win that match.
Oh, absolutely.
We were all thinking, okay, it's probably going to be Kevin Owens.
Yeah, well, the only person I thought that had less of a chance was Sin Cara.
Yeah.
And it was because I forgot he was in the match.
Me too. He was dressed like a moth.
He did. He came out in all white. He was kind of floating around near the back.
Yeah, floating for sure. It was like, oh, look, bright lights.
Anyway, I think we're just a little over an hour here now for the first episode.
We're at a happy number because if I need to, I can cut some of our crap out.
Yeah, and this is currently unnamed podcast.
Listen, this is going to be lots more, and I've had a whole lot of fun, and I hope you have too.
Oh, it was great.
And I hope anybody listening to this really enjoys. I mean, hey, this is the pilot. We're completely fucking around here, but hopefully it's the beginning of a wonderful thing, and we can keep doing it and have a lot of fun. That's the basis of this thing.
We'll get this shout out and get some of your comedian buddies on. Maybe we'll have some local
guys.
Maybe we'll have some local wrestlers listen and
fuck those guys.
And they can come on and give us their story too.
Of course.
Not necessarily about wrestling though.
No.
We don't have to talk about wrestling at all.
This is we were sitting down, you and I were talking, we were saying, like, what are we going to make this podcast about? And I don't think we need to pin it down to anything. other than whatever we
I
want to talk
hear
about.
what Sheik Aziz's political preferences are.
I don't. I don't. At all.
He's Mike. I'm Colin. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. That was my very first podcast ever. Thanks again to Colin Fardy. I know I thanked everybody like 4 times in my little intro, but here it is again. Thank you for listening. I welcome all sorts of feedback, criticism, constructive, or if you just want to be a dickhead, mikebarrington@gmail.com. Let me know what you thought. I can't wait to make some improvements and come back with episode 1 or episode 2, whichever you want to call it. This was our pilot. Thanks again. I hope you enjoyed it.